All right, good afternoon, eighth graders. Happy, what's today? Wednesday, yeah, middle of the week. All right, a couple more days and we'll have another little break. All right, today's math notes is going to be regarding where you get an algebraic equation, and the equation has variables on both sides. As you can see in our example, 6m is on the left side of the equation, and we have a 4m on the right side, and we're going to learn how we deal with those kinds of equations. So I'm going to list out the steps first. I'm going to skip the real world application. We're going to do the problems on the back together, and then you're going to work on this real world application for homework. Just fill in the chart, try to make sense out of it, answer the questions after, and that's what you're going to talk with your with your pod mates about when you come in tomorrow. Okay, so the steps is that you want to first combine all like terms on both sides of the equations. In the above example, there are no terms to combine, but just be aware that, like if we had a minus 2m there, then we would have to combine the 4m and the 2m before we can do anything to move that 4m to the other side. And that'll make sense as we do this. All right, so we combined all like terms on both sides. Then we move the terms with variables so that they're all on the same side of the equal sign. So for example, we're going to take this 4m and we're going to move it over to the left side of the equation. And then if we have to, we move all of the constants. And if you remember, a constant is just a number without a variable. For example, this plus 12, that's a constant. If you had another constant on the other side, you'd have to combine them onto one side. Then you solve the equation and check your answer by substituting your answer into the original equation. Don't be lazy. Take your answer, plug it back in, see if it makes sense. That way you know if you got the answer right for sure. For sure. All right, so I think that's it for the front side. Again, I didn't even say it. This is page 27 of your notes. And let's go to the back side and do some practice problems. Again, you'll fill in that chart, make sense out of it, answer the questions the best you can. All right, so example one, I've got a 6m on the left side, I've got a 4m on the right side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 4m and I want to move that to the other side with the 6m. I do not want to bring the 6m to that side because then I'll have all variables and numbers on one side and then I'll have to move the constants to the other. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. We don't want to do that. We want to move the 4m. And the way we get rid of a positive 4m is if we subtract a 4m from each side. So 6m minus 4m leaves you with 2m, and that's equal, those cancel out, to 12. Now we're solving for m, divide each side by 2, and we're left with m equals 6. All right, example number 2, I've got a negative 7x minus 198 equals 5x. So I want to get that negative 7x out of there, and I want to combine it to the other side. So because it's a negative 7x, I'm going to take a positive 7x to each side. So those end up canceling out, and I'm left with negative 198 equals a positive 12x. I now have to go ahead and divide each side by 12. I'm going to get a negative answer. 12 goes in the 19 once, remainder 7, so 12 into 78. And guess what? That actually doesn't go in evenly. It's 6.5. So we end up getting negative 16.5 equals x. The one thing that we didn't do is we didn't go back and plug in the answer to see if this made sense. So let's go back to example 1, and we're going to plug 6 in for the m's. So 6 times 6 is 36. And is that equal to 24 plus 12? It is, so that answer worked. If you were to go ahead and plug negative 16.5 in, what would we get here? Yeah, I don't have time to do that math, but just trust that when you plug in the negative 16.5, you would get the right answer. All right, let's do these next two together. So I've got 19 plus 7n equals negative 2n plus 37. And it doesn't matter which side the variables go on. It doesn't matter which side the constants go on. All that matters is that all the variables go to one side and all the constants go to the other. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to start here and add a 2n to each side to get rid of those. So I'd be left with 19 plus 9n equals 37. Now I have to get rid of the 19. So I'd be left with 9n equals 18. Divide each side by 9. You're left with n equals 2. If you plug that back into your answers, 19 plus 14 is 33. And negative 4 plus 37 is 33. So those both worked. N does equal 2. All right, and for number 4, before we do that, I actually have a joke for you. Why does the algebra book always look so sad? Think about it. And of course, it's because it has so many problems. Ha 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 ha. All right, let's do these last two here. 49 minus 3m equals 5m plus 6 minus m plus 8. All right, we're going to have to combine like terms here. The left side, we don't have to combine anything, but on the right side, we can combine the 5m and the negative m, which gives you 4m, and then add the 6 and the 8, which is 14. Now we want to get all the variables to one side, all the constants to the other, so I'm going to add a 3m here, add a 3m there. Those go away. I'm left with 49 equals 7m plus 14. I'm going to subtract 14 from each side. That leaves me with 35 equals 7m. Divide each side by 7, and I'm left with 5 equals m. If you were to plug that back into the equation, that would work. So 5 does equal m. All right, so this last problem, number 5, it's going to be a tricky one. May not make sense. You might be confused. But the more we do these kinds of problems, the more they're going to make sense. Last year's 8th graders had initial shock with these kinds of problems. But number 5 here is going to help you solve the problem on the front that deals with the chart. So what this says is that Green's Gym charges for you to join a one-time fee of $50 plus $30 for each session that you have with a personal trainer. So that's one plan. The other plan, a new fitness center, charges a yearly fee of $250 plus $10 for each session. And we want to know how many sessions would it take for the cost of each plan to be the same. So what value of S would make those equations be the same? So all we do is set them equal to each other and solve for the variable. So here I'm going to subtract 10s from each side, and I'm left with 50 plus 20s equals 250. Now I have to get rid of the 50, so I'm left with 20s equals 200. I have to get rid of the 20, so I divide each side by 20, and I'm left with s equals 10. So what that means is that if I went to Green's Gym and I paid $50 to start up my gym fee, my gym membership, and then I did 10 sessions, that would be the same cost as if I went to the other gym and I paid a $250 yearly fee and I paid $10 per session. So that's how we treat those. You see it a lot with calling plans with cell phone companies. This plan offers this, and then the other plan offers that. How many minutes are they equal? And that's when you just set the two equations equal to each other and solve for the variable. All right, hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and we look forward to going over this stuff with you tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.